hello, hello. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. There's kind of a delay here, but I guess we will do what we need to do. Um, Hi everybody. We are here to do a panel called Being Latinx Online, and I'm going to go clockwise, and we're going to introduce ourselves. I am Ari. I'm the Bookish Freaking Envy, and I actually am new to the bookish community, and I'm really, really glad to be here with you all. And I am glad for Paola who asked me to do this. It's awesome. I'm really, really happy to be here. So, everybody else, tell us a little something about yourselves, and we'll go clockwise.
Okay. So I think that's me. Hi everyone. I'm Taylor from Page Screen Taylor. I've been on BookTube for probably about 3 years, and I post on and off, mostly live shows now, and I read across all genres, but mainly I've been reading a lot of classics and romance right now. And I'm really excited to be here.
Nice. My name is Adri. My channel is Perpetual Pages. I am a queer, trans, non-binary Mexican American book reviewer, and I have been booktubing since 2013. So next month it will be 7 years, and I read pretty much everything in existence. So that's me.
Hi, my name is Jessica from Theatrical Reader. I've been on BookTube for a year and a half, I'd say. I read fantasy and a lot of romance and some middle grade. But I've been in the book community since 2018, so I'm very excited to be here.
Hi, my name is Rocío. My channel is Rocío Reads. I started my channel like 4 months ago, so I'm really new. I am Dominican American, and I'm really excited to be here. And I'm really thankful to Paola for asking me to be part of this.
Okay. For the first question, I know my first time getting online was half the battle. Getting dial up working and everything to make sure that everything was connected, and modems were connected and all of that stuff. So, can you remember your first experience being online, and what was it like?
I can go. So this is actually my second attempt at a booktube channel. The first one I created my freshman year at college, which was an incredibly low point for me, not just because of the YouTube channel. And looking back at it still exists. So if anyone is curious, they can reach out to me, but it's embarrassing and I had to destroy it. And it's better that way. But my first time online was still pretty positive. I didn't experience any sort of negative attention. It was BookTube. The people on BookTube were still positive towards me back then. And yeah, this time though, it's a much better experience being online. So.
Nice. Yeah. Not to like age myself, but I'm part of a generation that still remembers when the internet was not like a given and it wasn't commonplace. Like I remember a time when the internet was not connected to literally everything in our lives, or it was still like optional and was still considered to be a luxury for people who could afford it. So we didn't actually have an internet connection in my house until I was in high school. I don't know why. That's just how it was. So yeah, that was my first time on the internet at home was when I was in high school. But even before that, I used to go to my dad's workplace over the summer because he was a high school counselor at a continuation school. So like during the summer, I would go help him do filing and stuff. And then in return, he would let me use the internet in the office. So like my first experiences online were just me like looking up the lyrics to my favorite song because like I couldn't do that at home. So I would do that and I would like print out all the lyrics to my favorite song so I could like memorize them and remember them, or just like going onto like message boards and talking to people about like my random like favorite TV shows or whatever. But like that was my first time on the internet. Luckily nothing bad happened, but it was very innocent.
From we didn't have internet for like a long time. Like I would go to my aunt's house and she would have dial-up, and that's my time I really remember being online. And that was back when like, you know, internet was still so new. So everybody's like, oh, watch out for online predators.
Yes.
So I wasn't able to do like a lot of stuff for a long time. Like sometimes I could barely go on YouTube because they're like, you don't know what's out there. And
Yes,
here I am
yes.
putting myself out there on YouTube. So
Yes.
but like I just really remember social media. Like I got on there really late, like when MySpace was barely dying, like when Facebook was starting to become a thing. So
Yeah.
and that was like when I was like 14. And I mean, I have had pretty decent experiences online, so thankfully.
So I'm kind of like a baby. I'm teen. And when I grew up in Dominican Republic, and over there isn't a lot of internet. I lived in the middle of nowhere, just like there was no like cable, no internet, none of that. So when I came, I was like 13. And I didn't know what YouTube was. I didn't know what Facebook or anything, any of that was. But this is like my actual first experience on the internet, like being able to interact with other people. So yeah, that's cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're a baby. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to a lot of your experiences online, and it's kind of crazy and insane how much we have progressed over the years.
Yes.
And, you know, when we first started out, all we had was AOL, and, you know, you were very limited. Now it's just such a vast sea of so many things. The internet can be a pretty strange place. What has been your
Should we go in the same order?
Okay.
Let's just keep going.
Okay, so I don't remember the name of this website, but do you remember that questions app everyone was using like a couple years ago? Like everyone on BookTube had that.
Like Curious Cat or something? Or is that something else? Okay,
that
okay.
one. Yeah. It wasn't really, I guess it's not particularly rare, but someone just started sending me like explicit messages on there, and that had never happened to me before. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to deal with this. I'm just going to delete everything.
Relatable.
Bye. So that was probably the strangest thing that had happened to me, because I didn't know who it was because it was anonymous, and it was just so out of left field. I was like, oh, okay, bye. So that was probably the strangest thing that has ever happened to me.
Definitely. I think this hasn't happened to me, but I've heard people on BookTube being like propositioned by sugar daddies and stuff. So I know that's a thing. Thankfully, it has not happened to me. But yeah, it could get pretty weird out here. I don't have like a specific situation or scenario that was like the weirdest. I just think in general, like one of the strangest things I've had to navigate is how other people expect or even demand like your civility and nicety, even if they weren't nice to you to begin with. So those have been some of my weirdest interactions, where like you have to correct someone or point out that the question they asked was answered in the very video they just allegedly watched, and then having them come back at you like, whoa, no need for attitude. I was just curious. So that's been the strange thing for me, like when people feel entitled to like your energy or your thoughts, if that makes sense. It's weird.
That's so funny you just mentioned sugar daddy, because I actually just got a DM on my personal Instagram. like a few days ago saying like, hey, do you want to be like, I'll give you whatever amount of money. And I was like, is this legit? Because your girl's a little broke right now. But but really, I think probably like when you go on, what was it, Omegle or something like that? I think that's
Oh
what it's called.
yes, amigo. Oh my
And you
god.
would see so much like explicit, so much that you shouldn't have
Oh
been
gosh,
watching.
amigos.
Yeah.
Yep.
Other than that, I don't really think so. I've been pretty lucky in that part as well to not get that much strange things,
Oof.
at least.
Sorry. Just to answer Paola, I'm 19. Yeah, she asked me how old I was. For me, I actually the first like strangest thing I got Instagram. That's the first thing I got, and I have gotten since then. I have gotten so many like sugar daddies, like the same as you guys, like so many of them, and I've also gotten so many like oh, collab with me, or like we want you to be an ambassador when actually they're just scamming you. Like I have gotten so many of those, and it's so obvious because they send you it's so like sexist. Like they're like, hey girly, and then like a bunch of like emojis, like hearts and kisses and stuff, which is so unprofessional.
Yeah.
And I've also gotten like people that has somebody that got my information from online and then found out my phone number and then like kept calling me and I had to like block it. It was like a whole thing. But it got fixed. So
Oh my
yeah, there's a lot
god.
of weird people on the internet. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty weird out here. Speaking of it being weird, I know that everyone has encountered some crazy stuff as far as being in a space where there's such an open forum. What inspired all of you to become booktubers?
Um, I'm assuming we're going in the clock.
We can start.
I don't
We
want
can
to,
go
like,
backwards
dominate
this
the
time.
conversation. So for me, it was, the booktubers of, I guess the old guard of booktube. I watched all of their videos. One day I just
we can go backwards.
Okay. Should we go backwards, or do you want to? Oh, you finish, Taylor, and then we can go backwards.
Okay. I know one day I just Googled Pride and Prejudice book review, and
oh my god.
yeah, I came across booktube, and I just fell down a rabbit hole, and I was like, I would like to do this one day. And then, as I said, I created the freshman year one. Mercy killed that, and then created this one, and yeah, that's how I got started. So.
Nice.
Okay.
Rocío, you want to go?
Okay, sorry. I forgot we're doing backwards. I have been watching YouTube for booktube since I was like 14. And I don't remember which person. I think the first person that I found was Read by Zoe because she had like a summer recommendation. That's what I looked. I was like books for summer, and then she popped up, and then I binged all of her videos, and then I found like the other big booktubers like Pulling Banana Books and Kidtastic and all of them, and then I've been watching them ever since. And like obviously I found other people. But I've always wanted to join, but I was always so scared because I actually filmed videos too, but just never uploaded them. And then this summer, with COVID and everything and the quarantine, I was just like, what the hell? Let me just do it. Let me just go ahead and do a video. And then I filmed a video at like 2 a.m. and I uploaded it. And then now that's private because it's so bad. But I was just like so excited to do it that I didn't even care what kind of quality it was. But I'm happy that I joined because you guys are great.
Aw.
So I've been watching BookTube since like 2015. And then I joined Bookstagram, then joined Book Twitter, and then I joined BookTube. But I think had been wanting to, also same as Rocio, but like I had the mentality that you need such high equipment, like you need really good cameras, great lighting, a MacBook, all that stuff. And then I was talking to my friend one day and I was like, I can just use my phone. She goes, yeah, you could just use your phone.
Mhm.
I was like, well, I have an iPhone, so I just use iMovie to edit. And I started because I did my first video because of the BookTube games from last year that Mayana
Mm.
posted. And I just decided, why not? Let me just do it. So I just did a 24-hour readathon, which it's a video, but it's still up there. So, I'm really glad that I did do it because like I've met so many great people. But I think
Yeah. I related to what Rocio was saying about how just making that first awful video. Like I also filmed my first video at night, like with horrible lighting, just because I was so excited. And yeah, that's why I started really was just I was able to because I got my first ever laptop. So it had a webcam and it had editing software built into it. So I was like, why not? But like in general, like bigger picture, I mean, I've talked about it before, but I started booktubing because there were so many books I wanted to talk about and share that I wasn't seeing reflected in the channels I was already watching, which are kind of like the booktube old guard, as Taylor said before. And I saw how people reviewed books, which back in like 2012, 2013 usually boiled down to like a simple, I loved it or I didn't like it, within seconds with very little nuance. So I wasn't seeing people talk about books like on a craft level or a thematic level or even a personal level. That's what I felt like I could bring to the table. So, that's part of why I started what I did when I did. But also, and I've talked about this before as well. So I also kind of started just out of necessity because at that time in my life, I had just come out of a relationship that was very emotionally abusive. And in order to like make it through that relationship, I had gotten used to making myself very small and quiet and like invisible. So I also did it as a way to like literally see myself and hear myself again, because that's unavoidable, in the editing process. But also like just to remind myself that I have things to offer, that I can shape conversations and help people connect to stories that could save them in some way. So that also prompted me to start when I did.
Actually, to add
Okay.
to what Jessica said, can I just like add something really
Yeah.
quick? Um,
Yeah,
so I
you can.
actually also, I actually also, like Jessica said, I also like thought that I needed like a camera and everything, um, to like start the channel. So that's why I pushed it off because I was like, I don't want to like use my phone. And back then I had like the 6S, so like the
Mhm.
quality was really bad. And now I actually have a camera, but I don't even use it. I use my phone. So like,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Phone cameras are really good. I filmed on my phone for a very, very long time.
I still do.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people still do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still doing. I'm. I am still. I'm very, very surface level. This is what you get right now. So I really, really am working my way into it. So
Hmm.
you all have already talked about what made you become a booktuber. I know all of us have our own experiences and things like that. For me, it was because I don't see a lot of Afro Latinx people doing booktube. I think
Hmm.
there's like me and like four other people that I've seen. So, how did you initially plan to use your platform on YouTube? Because it's such a wide reach, and you actually do reach a lot of people. There's just so many ways to use that platform. So
Very true.
how did you initially plan to use that?
Should we go the same
So
way?
We can go counterclockwise.
we're going
Okay.
okay. So for me, I didn't really give it a thought about like me using my platform to like promote books and stuff like that.
She
Uh,
freeze for everyone else.
yeah, I think she froze.
Oh no.
Oh,
Mm,
Yeah.
Should I
oh,
just?
Oh gosh.
Okay, I guess I'll go until she comes back then.
Okay.
So I guess we kind of had the same. We're kind of having the same thought.
Oh
Like I didn't really. Are you good?
yeah, sorry.
Okay,
My internet is like wacky.
you can continue then.
No, you can finish and then I can go afterwards. It's fine.
Okay.
So I didn't really start off with like a
Okay.
how I was going to use my platform. I just kind of wanted to talk about books that I read and like connect with people who read the same kind of books as I did. Um, because I have friends that like read, but we kind of don't really have the same taste. Like I said, I read a lot of like romance,
Mm.
and they would kind of like not talk down, but they would kind of be like, I don't really read that. So I just wanted to talk to more people about the books I would read. And also my family doesn't like read a lot. Like some of my family don't read a lot. So
Mm.
it was more just me wanting to talk to more people who read. I had seen in the book community that there was a lot of people already. And then when I got into it, I realized that there was like I had known already, but then I saw more that there really wasn't so much diversity in books that were being like pushed out there. And
Mhm.
so I kind of want to talk more about like I want to push more diverse books out there, especially for like my younger cousins so they can read more books about the characters that are like them. So
Mhm.
it's pretty much me.
Okay, so before my internet went all crazy, I was saying that like since like the beginning I was mainly watching like obviously white YouTube booktubers, and I didn't really even notice that it was only white. I really
Mm.
didn't. Um and then I recently, especially this year, there have been just so many more people of color that have become more popular, and I've been able to find them. And joining too, I just found out all these people that are like you guys and other people through like book Twitter and everything. Um, but I didn't really think about like all of that coming in. I just wanted to talk to people because I read, but I'm a slow reader, but I'm still faster than like civilians. I guess
Right.
like
Yeah.
normal people that don't read.
Civilians. Yeah.
Like
And pedestrians.
I I actually try to make like a book club with my friends. I try
Mhm.
to make like a book club with my friends, and we were reading They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera.
Mm.
And we gave each other like a week because I thought like a week was good. It's a really small book, and they didn't finish it. I don't think they even finished it the whole month because we extended it, and I finished it like the first 3 days. So I was just waiting for them to finish it the whole time, and after a while, I was like, this is not gonna work out for me. So I decided to just join, and then I realized, like how many like the books that are out there. I wasn't really aware of like all the people of color books and stuff like that, and especially the Hispanic and Black books and authors. And now like my eyes are so open, and I'm like, wow, all the books that I'm reading are by white authors and straight cis females writing about like like LGBTQ. Like that's not
Mhm.
so my eyes are definitely more open now that I'm here. So, and it's
Yeah.
only been like 4 months, so
That's
big
true.
change.
That's true.
Mhm.
I feel like I related to what Jessica was saying. I initially planned to use my channel just basically as a log of everything that I read since, 2013. And it's still very much that, I think, when you boil it down to its most basic core, yeah, so I didn't have any set like expectations for my channel besides talking about the books that I read, which is what I do to this day. Obviously, I found, greater purpose in championing marginalized voices along the way, but the objective remains the same, which is just to talk about books. But yeah, I think the switch probably flipped for me when I first read Arri and Dante, because I was pretty sure I was an adult by that point. And that was the first time I'd ever seen a queer Mexican-American person in a book. And it just like struck something in me and made me realize like people shouldn't have to wait as long as I did to see themselves in a book in that way. So that, I think, gave me the drive to start being more conscious about like what I was reading and become more aware of like the people who are watching my videos, because it's not just that I'm not just talking in a vacuum. It's not just like I'm reading what I'm reading and talking about it and it is what it is. It's like other people are taking that and they could take my recommendations, or they could find a book that means something to them, or conversely, they can find a book that hurts them as well. So being conscious about it in that level, like it's not just about what I read, but it's about also helping other people connect to stories that are meaningful to them.
Yeah, I think so. When I started my channel, it was originally supposed to be a book review channel and a film review channel. Hence, three. I can count the amount of movie-based videos I've done on one hand, so great. But I think when I started, my main goal was to talk about Third of Glass and
God,
actual high literature. My intent was to go in and educate everyone on English literature. It was really pretentious. And I think as I joined BookTube and I was introduced to all of these books, all of these different backgrounds, I started to realize like, oh, I'm not just a booktuber. I'm Black and I'm Mexican. I'm a woman. I need to start working on diversifying what I'm reading and also thinking more consciously about the books I'm promoting. And I think part of that was also discovering what I liked. I love romance books, but I'm at this point where 90% of the romance books I read are by people of color, about people of color. Yes. And that's kind of what I want to promote on my channel. And even now with classics, I have a classics-based book club that I do with two friends. Like, one of the big things we wanted to focus on was like bringing classics that aren't just Western into our book club and aren't just written by white, cis, straight people. We want to talk about, because these classics exist. And by classics at this point, we just mean old books. So, these things exist. And I think part of it is just recognizing my identity and my responsibility that comes with having being both a marginalized person and having a platform.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also like, if we don't read about ourselves, like who will, right? So it's kind of that level as well.
For me, like the first time that I was like, this is like me in a book was when I read a Elizabeth Acevedo book. I read With the Fire on High, and like she was like talking about like just in general, like the way she wrote, the way like the family interacted. I was like, wow, that's like my family.
Yeah.
That's like what they say to each other.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So particularly for the ones that have been here and been doing it for a while, what has changed since you first started?
I'm like, Taylor, you want to go first?
I would say that I think, and I don't know if it's the same for you, Adri, but when I started BookTube, there's this whole like, oh, everyone's so welcoming. You're going to be enveloped in this like hug of acceptance and warmth and non-racism and so on. And after a while, I think as we started having more conversations around race and sexuality and gender, I think you start to realize that a lot of people have a lot of maybe prejudices that they don't know about, and that includes like honestly everyone. I'm not preaching. There are some things that I've recognized that I can educate myself on as well. But I think what changed recently is that people are willing to call people out, which is like I definitely agree with. But my thing is more how people react when they're being called out. You know, very defensive, and that's how you have, I think, a lot of arguments that happen online. And I think now that a lot of marginalized people are willing to call people out when they act up, I think that's something that's honestly it's changed for the better. You know, it's so easy to say like, oh, things were really nice when everyone was so welcoming and loving, and I think we still are very welcoming and loving, but we're not willing to put up with as much as we were at least as much as I was when I first started.
Absolutely. Yeah. So much has changed since 2015 from like how we talk about books, like what kind of videos are popular and all that kind of stuff. But kind of like Taylor was saying, the way we talk about books and representation has changed so much. I remember a time where you could not pay people to say that a book had a queer protagonist because that would spoil the book. God. And like now you have non-queer booktubers being like, I hear this book has an ace character, and that's cool. You still can't get people to understand that specificity is better than blanket terms, like you don't just say Latinx when you know the character is Colombian or Dominican, or don't just say queer if you know a character is bisexual or pansexual. But, something to work on in the next 7 years, that's fine. But people are definitely more aware of how important it is to cultivate diversity, I think. So that has been a welcome change. Yeah, a lot has changed.
Yeah.
I think
for me,
I know
like,
I'm
watching like
queer,
the
non-binary myself. So all right, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say like
Who is
me, like
who is
I've been watching
talking?
since like 2014. It's me.
There's a lag.
I've been watching. Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I've been watching BookTube since like 2014. So like everything you just said, Adri, I've literally like seen it happen from like an outsider view. And it's like crazy how normalized it was to just like for it to like, like people were always like, oh, this is like such a perfect community, like everybody just loves each other, and then all of this tea and like racism and all of oppression and everything like comes out, and then they're like, no, but it's still like we need to go back to that, and it's like that gives me a lot of Keep America Great vibes.
Oh my God.
It really does, like kind of a little bit. And I don't know, I like how things are like progressing a lot more now.
Yeah, I agree with what Taylor said. I think it's people are willing to speak up for themselves more now than they were in the past. I think there's
all
more
lives
support
matter
in the community. Yeah. So I'm the same as Taylor. I just nothing has, well, I don't want to say nothing has changed, but a lot of what I experience now is what I've been experiencing. I'm just taking less shit, I guess. So Jessica, if you have something to add, you can add it.
Pretty much the same thing as Rocío said, because I've been, like I said, I've been watching BookTube for a while, and you can see the different trends and like the videos, how they've changed, and also my taste has changed because like I also used to watch a lot of different, like a lot of white booktubers, and then as I started, like I was like, oh, they kind of talk about the same books, so I would look for like smaller booktubers, and then that's when I started to see more people of color in the booktube community. So then my taste started to change, and I read much less white romance books, and now I read much more diversely. I still could do better, which is something that I'm working on. But you can see the difference in trends and the books, and something that I think has gotten a lot better. Still needs improvement, but it has gotten better. I've seen.
Yeah.
Uh, Thankfully, I have not come across any gatekeepers or anything like that. But I'm a keyboard warrior, so if you decide you want to address me and you decide that you want to talk out the side of your neck, I have very harsh words for you, and you will not win an argument with me. That's just how it is. But y'all have pretty diverse subscribers. How have interactions with your subscribers inspired you? How have they discouraged you?
Mm.
Okay, so for me, I again I'm new, so I don't have a lot. I have like actually I do have a lot. I when I started this, I did not expect anybody to watch any of my videos. I
Mm.
was actually thinking about just keeping them private. Um, but I have like 120 something subscribers, and I actually know most of them. I interact with them a lot on book Twitter and also like in the comments and stuff. And everything has been pretty like encouraging. Like we're all small creators. We all like talk to each other. I have like buddy reads with a few of them, so it's been pretty great for me. Um, but I'm in like discouraging side of it. I haven't had any of it, but I'm a pretty confident person, and to be honest, like I really don't care if anybody says anything bad about me. Like I really don't, because there's been a lot of talk about like how other people think they can assume things on your life
Mm.
about just from like what they see. And like for me, if someone were to do that, I would just be like, I don't care what you say. Like I know me, and like that's all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rocio, your first video I think actually popped up on my Twitter, and someone retweeted it onto my timeline, so that's how I found you. I remember.
Oh.
How do
Thank you.
how my a lot of my subscribers are like people that I talk to a lot as well. Like a lot of them are like my really close group of friends, and we just always talk comments on each other's videos. And actually recently I got like a DM on Instagram from somebody saying that they really loved my videos, and they said that like it was so unexpected. They said like I was their favorite booktuber and all that stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, like that's so I never thought that I would be one of those booktubers. So, and just getting good positive comments has really helped as well. Discouraging wise, we say we don't really care about numbers or views and stuff like that. But sometimes, if you work really hard on a video and it doesn't really get the response you were hoping for,
Mhm.
that could kind of be, that was a bit discouraging for me. That's why I'm not like completely so um I can't think of the word, but I don't always post. Like, I'm not a very good, not good, but like consistent.
Consistent.
That's there
Consistent.
you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm not a very consistent creator. Partially because I'm like, well, like sometimes it gets me. I'm like, oh, nobody's really gonna see, so why do I bother? But then
Right.
I get an idea, and then I'm like, okay, let's get back to it. Whatever. So.
Yeah. Um, my audience has, I feel, validated and supported me in ways I don't even think they'll ever realize. Like, I think the best example I could give would be earlier this year when I changed my name and started developing a new relationship with my own transness, and people were very generous, with their validation. They said my name back to me. They changed my name in their video descriptions. They, expressed their happiness for me. And I honestly feel like I would not have been brave enough to take those conversations offline if I didn't already know that thousands of people already accepted exactly who I was. So it made it that much easier to be myself offline, knowing that I was seen and supported in that way by my community. So the people I interact with regularly are extremely kind and thoughtful in the way they engage my content. And I'm glad that I've been able to foster that kind of space. As for discouraging, my audience of what I will call casual viewers discourages me because of their alarming lack of listening comprehension and reading comprehension, which as a bookish community is always ironic, you know? People want to engage with my content about reading books, but then they suddenly cannot read when it comes to my bio that has my name, my labels, my pronouns, like all laid out for them in all caps, I might add, but no one's keeping track. But, you know, suddenly they do not see, you know, so the constant misgendering and, you know, sometimes dead naming is extremely discouraging. And then when I correct people, they just say that they didn't know, it's not their fault. And, you know, when I get that response, it's because I know they didn't care to know. And I know they didn't care to see me for who I am instead of what they assume me to be. So that's just my time lost. My audience discourages me with their casual racism and queerphobia when they comment on how I speak or how smart I sound, or when they try to use my comment section as a place to work out their white feelings or their transphobic feelings. When they make a comment that shows they didn't actually watch the video they're commenting on, when they ask me 101 questions as if I'm Google, you know, when they demand my emotional energy to educate them or entertain them in my DMs, or when they don't credit me or mention me in videos that are quote unquote inspired by me, you know, like that's a whole other thing. I'm not going to go there. But when people deliberately tag me in things where I'm misgendered so I can see it, that's great. You know, there's a lot of ways people can be shitty to marginalized creators that most people will never, ever see or understand. But that's okay because I don't create for the assholes. You know, I create for the people who get it. That's what I do.
That's a really good sort of philosophy. I've been blessed where I haven't had people be, you know, racist to me or anything. At least, okay, openly. There's sometimes when people will say like, "Oh, you articulated your thoughts really well." It's like was that an insult? Was that a microaggression, or are you just being, you know, complimentary? You know, it's hard to tell, especially when I plan out a review, and so I want people to think I'm articulate, but then once they say it, like, wait, hold on, we got a couple issues here. I will say, like, sometimes when I do post a video and it doesn't get the sort of reception that I was expecting or hoping for, there is that little thought in the back of like my mind, like, oh, is it because I'm too brown for some people or something? But part of me is also like, is it also because I upload like once a month? It does sort of suck though that I do have to have these thoughts in my head, like, oh, is it because I'm inconsistent or is it because I'm brown? Yeah. We'll never know. But yeah. Other than that, like, my subscribers haven't been, you know, rude to me or, you know, as far as I know, racist. So, you know, I've been very blessed on that front.
Yeah.
I was actually really scared about that when I started the channel. Like, I hate it. Yeah. I hate my voice. I hate my accent that I have. It's not as thick now, but I still don't like it. And I, when I was younger, I was bullied because of it in school. So it actually made me like a year not talk in school at all. So for me to like put my voice out on the internet for people to like see was actually really hard. But you know, I feel like I've come to terms with it. You know, if they don't like it, they don't like it.
I think it's also weird to be like tokenized as well, right? Like, especially for an example, we're in Latinx Heritage Month. So a lot of people are like, oh, here's a bunch of Latinx creators you should follow. So it can be discouraging also to feel like we're something people want to collect rather than, you know, as a little decoration for their timeline so that they can feel good about themselves and go on with their day instead of like actually watching the videos we make or liking the posts that we make or sharing the stuff that we do. That is also weird. Also, it's also discouraging. I don't know if y'all have experienced this, but like when people want to make you some sort of Latinx authority, Like, did you think the rep in this book was good? Why or why not? Or when people try to extract your Latinidad from like everything else you are, it's like it doesn't just exist on its own. Like it's informed by everything else that I am and everything else that I've lived through. So don't know what y'all are doing out here.
Yeah. Or they try to use it as a sort of like, I said something insulting, but Taylor doesn't find this offensive.
Oh
But,
my God. Yes.
Even whether or not I do find something offensive, like I'm not, the only Mexican person in the world. I'm not the only Latinx person in the world.
Yes. Yes.
So, my opinion might mean more than some non-Latinx person's opinion, but it doesn't mean everything.
Yeah.
I think I kind of relate to Adri in that sentiment where I'm always being misgendered. They refuse to use my pronouns. They refuse to say my name. They refuse to like accept me for me. And another thing is the whole argument over Latinx and Latine and Latino and all of these other things. We should not still be having this conversation. It's not like we're sitting here and just taking everything from the language. We're just asking for one thing, something that encompasses all of us. And what people fail to realize and fail to understand is that language evolves to fit the different groups of people that are encompassed under that umbrella. Latinx, Latine, whatever you identify as, use it. Stop letting people, try to define you, because that's what you identify as and that's your thing. If someone else tries to invalidate you, then forget them. They're not even worth your time, energy, or space in your mind. They will not live in my mind rent free, and that's not my problem, you know? So that is something that I relate to. I relate to a lot of the things, the racism, all of that, the microaggressions, and Twitter is a very, very hostile place sometimes, and sometimes it takes so much for me to just not curse out everyone. So I
Yes.
just step away. The keyboard has to go sometimes because it's just not conducive to my emotional state sometimes.
Mhm.
So
Sometimes they aren't
it
worth
just
it.
Yeah.
does not live up here anymore. Outside, turn off my computer, it's done.
Yeah. Exactly.
So as far as that is concerned, um let's see. All right. So these are there are yeah. Okay. There are so many polarizing opinions on various social media platforms, especially surrounding Latinx community. community? How does it feel to see us as a community online so in disagreement with each other?
Personally, I haven't seen that. Um, I just know that in general we have a lot of like internalized racism, and we choose to like just the whole like in general they choose to ignore it. They like Dominicans, they always think white is better, and I think that goes for all of Latin America. Um, but I have not experienced that personally. I have been told that I'm not Hispanic enough. I don't know what that means. Um,
Wild.
and for people like they even in DR like I'm like categorized. Like some people think I'm just straight up Spaniard, or they categorize me as Afro Latina, which I'm not. Obviously, Afro Latina. Um, I'm more of like I have a more indigenous heritage, like the Tainos and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But they don't understand that they're not educated in like our history. So that's the only type of discrimination I guess I found.
Um, it's really frustrating because I see it online and I see it like in real life as well. Because so I'm first generation, but my parents didn't teach us Spanish, so I know the basics. But I had a lot of family that would say, "You're not Mexican, you're white because you don't speak Spanish," and that was just so frustrating. And then seeing it online also, I'm just like okay, I'm seeing it also from a white person, and I'm like, if you come to the States, I'm the one who's gonna get discriminated versus you.
Mhm.
So like, I'm not gonna say anything about like in your country because I don't know anything about that, but here in the United States, like they're gonna think you're white. They're gonna know that I'm Mexican right away. Everybody knows I'm Mexican right away,
Mhm.
and just seeing that it just gets so frustrating because I'm like, why is this still being a thing? Like even the whole discussion about, oh, Latinx isn't a word, Latina, whatever, stuff like that is, it's just very frustrating.
It
I'm like,
is.
why? Just pass. Just can we think of more things? Can we talk about other things, more important things, please?
Seriously. Yeah. Yeah, it can be overwhelming. I think like both Ari and Jessica just touched on that whole conversation, especially between Latinx and Latina. Like, I don't give a fuck as long as I'm included. Put the X, don't put the X. I don't give a shit. And just don't call me Latino. Do not call me Hispanic. I swear to God. So yeah, I do. I get a lot of those comments still like, what's Latinx? Or like, people will comment on very, very, very old videos like, what is Latinx or Latinx not a word, or yeah, I'm not going to get into that. It's garbage. Just like include people. It doesn't hurt people to include people. Shut up. So yeah. But yeah, it can be overwhelming. I kind of touched on it earlier because a lot of times people on the outside looking in are searching for some kind of ultimate authority on Latinidad, when such an authority does not exist and cannot exist. Even in conversations like about, Latinx versus Latina, like I had one of my white friends like text me the other day, like, what does it mean? Like, which one's better? And it's like, bitch, like, I don't know. Like, there's just there's too many, I cannot possibly unpack that in a text, So by nature of having a diaspora as diverse as we do, it's just like there's so many living, valid, different experiences of what it means to be Latinx, and we're not going to agree on everything. So I feel like that's what people within and outside the community need to accept. None of us can lay down the law for our fellow Latinas, Latinxes, whatever. We can only, speak to our own experiences and perspectives. I personally can't allow myself to get caught up in worrying whether, my Latinx existence is good enough or real enough. I know what I know, and no one can take that away from me. I can only speak to my own experience, and that's okay. That's the way it should be. So it's hard out here. It's hard out here, y'all. I don't know.
Yeah. Like you, Jessica, I don't speak Spanish at all. I took it for 4 years in high school, had a bad experience with the teacher, and was like, well, I'll never speak Spanish again just to show you.
No.
But on top of that, like, I got made fun of by other Mexicans for my accent in Spanish, so I was like, well, now I'm just not going to bother. And like, for me, I'm mixed. My dad is Mexican and my mom is Black. And so, because I was Black, also, I was excluded from a lot of Latinx spaces because I couldn't speak Spanish. I was excluded from a lot of Latinx spaces because my dad's side of the family, they're not really in touch with their culture. They're very Americanized. So much so that my paternal grandmother, their family has been in the U.S. since the 1500s. Little colonizer stuff.
Oh my God.
Like that, but like, you know, they've been in America so longer than a lot of non-Latinx people.
Mhm.
So, like, you know, I just grew up very Americanized and separate from my culture. And it wasn't until I went to college on the East Coast where people thought I was Dominican or Puerto Rican and I got recognized as Latinx and people started speaking Spanish to me that I started being like, oh, wait. And then when I got on BookTube, you know, people wanted to include me in like Latinx book tags or for Latinx Heritage Month. And I would always be like, wait, huh? So I think BookTube also helped me work through like a lot of my relationship to my own Latinx-ish is like, but as far as, you know, disagreements within the community, like I said earlier, and like all of you have said, like we all have very different experiences, and my experience is going to be different from Jessica's experience, is going to be different from Ari's experience, and so on and so forth. So I don't think anyone's ever going to come to 100% consensus on everything.
Never.
I think it's more about being respectful of other people's experiences and acknowledging why they might come from a certain point of view.
Yeah. And it's like both you and Jessica were talking about, it's like there's gatekeeping within our own community. Like we gatekeep each other, and then we gatekeep other people with different Latinx experiences, which is absolutely wild. And I cannot wrap my mind around that, because I think it's like Jessica was saying, like here in America, I'm clocked instantly as Mexican, but then I come online and it's like a totally different experience. It's just like, shut the fuck up, everyone.
I think it's also because I noticed like the difference between like American Latinx people and then like Latinx people, like people that are live from their original country. And I don't know why, but there's this whole thing in America where we basically like make everything about us. And I think that can like make you know, the Latinx people that are in their original country feel kind of like ostracized a little bit, especially since like online community is so overpowered by Americans. So I feel like that's like also like a lot, like an argument there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, with me, my abuela came from the island, but but her father was from Nigeria, like straight off the boat. Like she was darker than me, and her mother was Taino. So when I come into spaces, I enter these spaces as all of me. But when I moved to North Carolina, I am a New Yorican. I have a weird accent because I speak Spanish, and I come down there and I have this New York accent, and I sound weird to them, and they sound weird to me, honestly. So I'm just sitting here like, I don't want to be friends with any of these people because they don't pronounce anything right. Everything sounds weird. They say strawberry instead of strawberry. They say street instead of street. I'm just sitting here. My mom has thrown me into this crazy place where they have no idea what Afro Latinx means, what Afro Latino means. They've never seen a black person that speaks Spanish because this is a rural area where a lot of them have only seen black and white and maybe some indigenous people. So, like, when I come in here, it's like complete culture shock. I look at my family tree, and we have the Yoruba side and the Taino side and all of these different, people that have come in and said, hey, we're going to, make all of these descendants and everything, and they're going to know that they are Afro, they're African, they're free Africano descendants, and we're sitting here like this is the story we know. My abuela was a santera, and taught us. So when we come into a room and we look black and we're speaking the language that's not necessarily from the mainland, it's just like, wait, I worked at Kmart and there's this whole Latinx community that is in the place where I used to work at Kmart at. And so when I saw a Latinx person come into the store and they were struggling, I was tasked with translating for the manager and cashiers who couldn't speak to them and things like that. So I'm sitting here like, I'm going to need you guys to hire someone else that can speak Spanish so I don't have to keep leaving my post to help you or learn how to speak Spanish yourself. Because I'm the only person in here that speaks Spanish, and these people keep looking at me sideways. Like, so what am I supposed to do? And then they don't want to talk to me because some of them are very deeply racist. And I'm just sitting here like, I'm just trying to help you. But if you don't want to talk to me, you can struggle with the manager if you want to. And it's just very frustrating for everyone involved. So I know that we all have our struggles and everything. And I know a lot of people want to come into the bookish community and they have their backgrounds, their experiences, and everything. But what would you tell another person who is Latinx who wants to break into the bookish community and do this on their own?
You're muted, Rocío. Oh, there you go.
That's a hard question. I don't know. I haven't been here for long, so I don't really know if I have I still have things that I need to work on myself, so I don't feel qualified to, say anything. I guess what I would say is just try to find people that, come from this I guess you can identify to and relate to and talk to. I guess that's what I could say.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, so, so like I would say if you want to do it, but like I don't want to say like, oh, everybody's so welcoming because we discussed they're not everybody they're welcoming at first, but then you get more into it and that's when you see more. So I guess yeah, just like get in if you want to do it, do it. If you find later on that it's not what you want to do, you know, you don't really have to continue on doing it. And yeah, get like a group of friends, like have friends that support you with what you do. And I guess, yeah, that was a hard question. I'm not
It is
sure.
a hard question. Yeah.
It was.
I definitely agree with what both of you said about finding your people. I think community is the biggest thing. And, like you said, there's 5 Latinx people in front of you right now who booktube. So, follow us, start talking to us. We talk about other Latinx people. So, finding people who see you and support you, that's a big thing, of course. My thing is, for anyone who wants to, any other Latinx people who want to start booktube channel, my advice is always like, do it. It's going to be hard, but do it anyways. I think it's important to be realistic about it because there is a glass ceiling. It is so much easier for people who look a certain way, speak a certain way, present a certain way to gain massive, massive followings very, very easily. So, my thing is I think people need to understand that it's not the numbers that matter. It's the people who are watching you that matter. It's the people who are engaging you that matter. It's the work that you're putting out in the space that matters. So, like I said, anyone who wants to do it, my advice is always to like be realistic, use what you have, and do what you can.
Everyone gave really good advice. Um, so my advice is kind of in line with everyone else. Find maybe find some booktubers that like Latinx booktubers and follow them, and like watch the content they're creating and see like, okay, what are they doing? What works? This is a very marketing perspective.
No,
What
it's
works,
true.
what doesn't work, but also, like, I kind of open myself up. If a Latinx booktuber came to me and like wanted to introduce themselves to me, or I would love to talk to them. I'm sure a lot of other Latinx booktubers would love to get other aspiring Latinx booktubers off the ground and help them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not volunteering anyone, like obviously make sure they're okay with it first, but and I encourage it. It's, I don't want to say like, oh, it's welcoming, there's no racism at all, but, or anything like that. But I would say like, it's always nice to see more Latinx faces on BookTube. So.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I started my channel because I needed an outlet, and I feel like anyone who does do this, it can be rough. The going can get really, really rough. And I can see it now, and I saw it the first time I tried to do a channel. Like, I'm also a musician, so there might be another channel separate from this one that that is dedicated to just me playing music. You know what I'm saying? But when if someone comes to me and asks me what they need to do in order to start this, you have to make sure that this is something that is on your heart to do. Because if it's not on your heart to do it, you and you're not doing it for yourself and you're doing it for other people, it is not for you. because you definitely have to have tough skin. I know I joke and everything on Twitter and any of my other platforms. I have a blog and I do a whole bunch of other things. And this has been by far the biggest leap of faith for me because I don't like my voice. And sometimes I know I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I look so fugly today. And, it's really frustrating sometimes because, people don't always mesh with what you're doing. So that is my biggest thing. But my question for you all is who are some of your favorite YouTubers at this time? Like right now in the moment, post like pandemic, on your watch list all the time.
Thanks.
That's a hard question. um, I've actually I've started school, so it's very hard for me to like find time to watch videos and everything. Um, but I would say Books and Law. I've always watched her like all her videos. Um, I like Paola videos, and My Name is Marines. I love her videos.
Yes.
She just
Uh,
I don't even read the same books, but no, go ahead.
um, so some of my favorite booktubers at the moment. One of my friends, Jocelyn Reeds. I love her videos. I love Adri's channel, especially because I love these days talking about Cemetery Boys. So,
I will.
and I love Paula's videos as well. I like because she also talks about like theater, and I like theater as well. So
Yeah, I was gonna say she's churning it out right now. All those amazing author interviews. I definitely been watching a lot of her channel. Just so many different people. Noria from Noria Reads is hilarious and smart and wonderful. And Jerry from Onyx Pages. We don't even often read the same things, but I'll just like watch any video that she makes. Um, who else? Starla from Starla Reads is awesome. She's been putting out some like TBRs and wrap ups and that kind of stuff. Who else? Sajid from Books Are My Social Life. Watch anything that they make, of course. Ashley from Bookish Realm. There's a lot of people. I watch a lot of people. Fadwa from Word Wonders. I watch anything she puts out as well. Lots of people. Yeah, my watch later list is long. Oh, Brody as well from A2 Brody. Yeah.
So this is always a hard question for me because I'm terrified of leaving out some booktubers.
Oh, for sure. I just left out so many people.
Yeah. Adri for one. I use your reviews as a lot of like, okay, this is how my review should be, and not just holding up a romance and going, so the guy was really hot. So I've been trying to channel them a lot. Jesse from Bow Ties and Books.
Yes.
I've been watching a lot of their videos. Brody as well. Kate from Chapter Kate. They've got the like Gothic book club now.
I just watched their Gothic like TBR. It was great.
Yeah. Oh gosh, so good. Jade from Jaded Reader. Kara from Wild Book Garden, who I collab with a lot. Julia from Shakespeare and such. Yeah. So many people. And I'm sorry if I left anyone out. I love so many booktubers. So
I'm really like, there's so many. Kathy's been putting out a lot of videos from Kathy Trithart. Love her.
Oh yeah. Reagan from Peru's Project has a lot of relaxing videos that I put on while I'm working because they're just so satisfying to watch.
Her vlogs, her weekend vlogs are so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
Love those.
Yeah. Y'all actually covered most of my favorites, and of course, I watch all of you. I have been pretty pretty not busy these past few months. So BookTube, Netflix, Amazon, whatever. I read books like nonstop. I've literally tried to kick it into overdrive for the end of Latinx Heritage Month because I got hung up on the House of Impossible Beauties. And it's been quite a journey these past few weeks. Videos have been uploaded, things have been said, points have been made. And quite frankly, I'm having fun with it. I'm here, and even though I have my issues and everything like that, I know that everyone here is probably going through some of the same things I am, especially since we've all been kind of locked up for quite a few months. And so, what have you been doing as far as self care during these pandemic months? I know it's been hard for a lot of us.
Woof.
It's been rough. I've actually been working since June, so I wasn't home all the time. Um, but I actually didn't do a lot of reading, surprisingly. I, for some reason, reading just made stressed me out. So I literally all I was doing was I was a vegetable in my bed, just watching Netflix and Hulu and all of that. Like I binged watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer in like a week. It
Ooh.
was so bad. Like I would not leave my bed. But I have started like reading a little by little. And just in general, I tried to just do little things because with everything going on, it was very very overwhelming. And then everything that happened with um, Black Lives Matter and the protests and everything, it just it just overwhelmed me. Like the way that everybody was acting got was had me so furious. So it was just like little by little, like anything that I could do, like just getting out of bed for me was like an accomplishment.
Yeah.
So when quarantine happened, I just started working from home.
Mm.
So um, that was like a bit harder because I work at an office job, so I have to be there 9 to 5, and
Mm.
sometimes I'm there longer. So when I would try to do self-care, it was just like a lot of FaceTiming with my family because I couldn't see them. Um, and I started getting back into reading more fan fiction rather than reading actual books, which I could have. And then also watching a lot of like bullet journaling videos.
Mm.
That's how I got into tried to help my mental health and keep it good. Um, Pretty much that was it.
Yeah. My first instinct was like, oh, self-care. We don't know her. We don't know her in this house. It's hard because like everyone else, when the pandemic started, obviously a lot of us started working from home. So it's been very hard to like make the distinction between like work hours. Like now work hours are personal hours. So it's like they become conflated with each other. So sometimes it's hard to like turn it off because it's like there's no like way to mentally clock out like I'm going home now because I'm already home. So it's been hard to like build in that time. Also just been busy doing a lot of things, have had been doing like a lot of things like this and other collaboration type stuff that's been taking up a lot of my time. So I just haven't really had the time to just like chill, you know? So I don't know, as far as self-care, like I run pretty much every day. So that's like my little time to myself, I guess, to work out whatever I'm going through at the moment. I try to do better now with like building in breaks and being like, at this time, you know, I will turn off the computer and I will go do something else. And yeah, like doing FaceTime stuff or doing like Zoom sessions with my friends from college and stuff, being like, how are you? Catching up with them. Just, you know, watching some anime sometimes, watching a movie sometimes. It's as simple as that for me because I am busy, busy, busy.
So self-care for me involved a lot of impulse buying and shopping. There was a time when I thought I would turn my channel into a vintage channel.
Oh, yeah.
I still wear vintage dresses and I still have them, but I'm not buying in bulk as much as I was before. My roommates and I started watching trashy reality shows as part of a coping mechanism. We finished
Love Island. Love Island.
We haven't heard Love Island yet.
Love Island.
Just as cursed as you think it would be. The Flavor Flav dating show.
Oh my God.
So bad.
Yes.
We've moved on to America's Next Top Model, and I'm going to try and convince them to do Love Island afterwards. And romance books have been my biggest escape because they always have the guaranteed happily ever after. There's usually a hot guy, and nothing bad or that bad happens in them. So that's my escape. Yeah, especially Talia Hibbert books and Alicia Rai books. They've been my lifesavers. So,
amen.
The funny part about this is like, since the pandemic started, I've started like just interacting with, I don't know if you know who Wilson Cruz is, but he's like, he should be Latinx legend, actor extraordinaire, whatever you want to call him, and he's freaking hilarious. I actually do know the guy who writes La Borinqueña, and he's hilarious. I get to talk to him quite a bit. There's just been a lot of me just associating with other people just so that I have people to talk to sometimes. And you know, yes, I catch up on shows. Yes, I read. Yes, I do a lot of things. But there are two Twitters, and I'm trash on the other one. So, with that said, and because I am a musician and I have to be messy, what is your favorite go-to music that you're listening to right now?
That's hard. You just hitting all the hard questions. I'm actually not like a big music person. But recently I've been really, really into Frank Ocean. Like he and Tyler the Creator, like all the time. I'm just listening to them all the time.
So like in the middle of the pandemic, I got into BTS. So it's been a lot of BTS, a lot of K-pop, and then
Yes,
like a bunch of older like Spanish songs, so like a lot of Selena.
What is Selena?
Um, yeah, that's pretty much my. I It's a lot of K-pop right now, though.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's a lot of K-pop, a lot of dynamite when you need that serotonin just immediately.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, I have like a playlist I made for Cemetery Boys, so that's been my go-to recently. So there's too many things to name on that. Yeah, no, just like that's what's on my playlist anytime. It's like a mixture of like Latino music, K-pop, anime OPs, and like that's pretty much it. Oh, Eric Nam. I've been listening to a lot of Eric Nam. He's fantastic.
So my music taste is not weird, just very spread out amongst different genres and I guess great levels. But right now, what I've been listening to the most is the musical soundtrack, which, if
Mm.
you don't know, is a musical that started off on the West End, and it's about the six wives of Henry VIII, and they start a girl group, and
Ooh. Yes.
whoever they sing about like their time with Henry, and whoever has the worst time gets to be the leading lady, and it's really really cheesy. When I was in like from the time I was like 10 to 13, I was obsessed with Tudor history. So
Oh,
it is just really hitting all of those sweet spots right now.
love that.
Um, with me, it's mostly salsa, Fania, basically the classics. Of course, Janelle Monae, my
Mm.
Mm.
goddess. I love her. And basically, Wonderland in general. Um, I have gotten really, really obsessed uh, with a lot of Brazilian music, samba music again, because like I had a childhood where I was very sheltered, and samba became one of my favorite just things, even though I couldn't understand anything they were saying. But I just basically wade through all of the genres and everything. I am a huge Alfredo Rodriguez fan, Daime Arocena, a lot of jazz. I play saxophone, so I am definitely going for instrumental music, soundtracks, scores for movies. One of my favorite scores right now is Star Trek Discovery. Of course, we love Star Trek. They definitely set queer rights with this last installment, and I am so ready for the next season. So, with all of this said, I am so glad to be able to be here. I'm glad to have been in this, time with you guys. And I know that everybody's going to go back to their respective channels and everything, and they're going to do what they've been doing. And it's amazing to see so much diversity out here in these streets. And it's just amazing to see the representation and all of these people from all walks of life and different experiences coming together, talking, and being in a forum where it's a safe space and being able to express themselves the way that they want to express themselves. Without further ado, we will ask anyone if they have any last words, comments, questions, or anything, because I'm gonna go ahead and end this. I know it was kind of short, but I've run out of questions.
No, you're good.
Uh, yeah. I'm just like really happy to be included. I don't know, like I never in a million years did I think that I would be like part of like panel with you guys are great. Like I've watched Jessica a lot in her videos and I really like them. And like I can't like I feel like I'm with celebrities kind of. Like you guys are so great. So yeah.
No.
Same. I'm really happy that Paula asked me. So thank you, Paula, because this is my first panel, and it was really great doing it for Latinx Heritage Month with a lot of creators that I really admire. Like I said, I really love Adri's channel. Um, so and I love watching Rocio's videos as well. Taylor, I watch your videos as well, and I really like them
Oh
too. I don't
no.
watch all of them, but like because I end up I have too many like so I'm so behind on my watch later list.
Yeah.
Um, but it was a lot of fun doing this. So
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely appreciate being here with all of you, and definite shouts to Paula for all her work on the Latinx Heritage Month Book Fest. It's been amazing. I know there's a lot that goes into organizing it and making it all possible. So we definitely owe our thanks to her for inviting all of us and including all of us, and just for putting together an amazing event. And I really enjoyed it to all of you.
Yeah. Piggybacking off of what everyone has said, thank you so much, Paula, for inviting me on. I'm really honored to have been thought of. Like I said, I always, what, me? Um, and thank you, Ari, for hosting.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much.
Good job.
mhm.
And it was nice to talk to all of you as well.
Yeah.
You're all great. You're welcome.
Y'all, I just wanted to say once again, thank you, Paula. Awesome, awesome panel. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of Latinx Heritage Month. I know we only have a few more days, but this has been amazing. And I hope that in the future we get to speak to each other again. I know we'll be keeping track of each other on the Twitterverse and on Instagram.